Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to 100.9 FM KWTN, the official radio station of the Winnebago Tribe in Nebraska, and you are listening now to the Big Voice Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Coach Q, and I got some special guests in the house with me tonight. We're gonna kind of spread this sports stuff all over the place. You know, last week we had a good, last few weeks we had some really good episodes, and a lot of the sports were brought up. And one of the sports that we didn't get to catch, we've been spending so much time on the little league baseball players. We had to stop in and catch some of the smaller leagues, the little girl leagues. We have one of the coaches in the house tonight, Mrs. Crystal Grant. Say hello.
Hello.
I say hello again.
Oh, hello.
Hey, well, you know, thanks for stopping up tonight. I know that we're going to talk a lot about girls softball, and Coach Crystal Grant's been coaching the 12U girls since the beginning of the summer. I believe this is not your first gig. I think you've been doing this for a couple of years now. And so we'll definitely get into there, and we'll have a real good interview with Coach Krista Grant. Also sitting next to me is one of our local living legends in the sport of lacrosse. And we talked about this gentleman last week, and I think the week before too, and he reached out to me. He told me that he's a big fan of the show, so I really wanted to get him on now, you know. And so we got one of our local lacrosse athletes, Mr. Nick Sonsasi, with us. Say hello, Nick.
Good evening. My name is Nick Sonsasi, recent college graduate, and I'm a strength and conditioning coach at Winnebago Public School.
There it is. You know, so we had a couple other coaches that were going to be here, but unfortunately they wasn't able to make it tonight. So we're still going to cover their teams. You know, one thing that I want to let you two know for the sports talk show, one of the things that we try to do is we try to highlight our local youth in the sports that are going on currently, or something upcoming, or even awards that somebody received in the recent past. You know, so that's one thing we're trying to do, is highlight each of these teams and age groups. You know, so tonight we're going to be highlighting the little girls softball, and we're going to talk about the 8U girls, the 10U girls, the 12U girls, and then also the 14 and under girls softball. That's all been very, very active since the beginning of the summer, all year long here in our community. So we'll be getting into that. And then you know, I was talking about this last week with some of the guests that were on. You know, and we at the sports show, we try to keep it going, different ideas, different thoughts, different opinions, you know, different sports, different coaches, different athletes, you know, and we try to different teams, you know, so we try to switch it up a lot, you know, from week to week. And I think we got a really interesting show for us tonight, because you know, we talk a lot about the little girls basketball during basketball season, and we talk about the older girls in basketball season. But when it gets down to the softball, we're still fairly new in this softball game. Fast pitch, slow pitch, all that, you know. Fairly new for the girls to be playing competitively, especially the fast pitch. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what we're going to be talking about tonight. The topics that we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to get to know our guests first and foremost. And then we're going to sit down and visit about the girls softball season here with Coach Krista Grant. And then we're going to highlight, I'll be covering the 8U girls that I'm coaching. And we're going to have Coach Crystal Grant cover the rest of the girls, because she has a lot of information for us for this girls softball this summer. So I'm sure glad that she's here tonight. Also, one of the questions that I'm going to ask you tonight, and then we'll get to that too, is, you know, you've been at practices all the time, and we're going to ask, you know, maybe some of the wants and needs of the girls that you can see up until this point of their early athletic careers. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and change the kind of the vibes from softball. We're going to definitely talk about this little basketball tournament that was put on by the Boys and Girls Club this past weekend. I cruised by and I've seen a lot of people over there, so I really want to give updates on that tournament there. And then we're gonna start interviewing Coach Sansasi over here, and he's gonna give us a whole spiel about lacrosse, how he got into it, and what we can look forward to in the near future. And then we got a couple extra questions for him, but you have to stick around on the show to see what we're gonna talk about. And then at the end of the show, we're gonna give out our athletes of the week. So we're gonna go ahead and get on to it. Hey, but before we do, so I noticed that Coach Crystal Grant, she came in here and she's decked out in blue. She's got Winnebago Indians right across her chest, as she should. Okay, and then Coach Nick comes in and he's wearing his Midland gear for his lacrosse. So he's decked out in his own gear. And myself, I like that when people come into the show and then they're wearing appropriate attire for a sports show. Okay, so you're here to talk about these young lady Indians, and then you're here to talk about the lacrosse, and I know you're going to be mentioning your school, Midland, too. Hey, congratulations, by the way, on your recent graduation. I know that not only are you proud of yourself and your family's proud, this whole community right here is proud. Especially us guys that always follow all these sports, stuff like that. Real proud to hear all our athletes, going on and not just excelling on the field or on the court or on the track, but also in the classroom, because that's the main thing. We talk about that all the time. Is there ain't no way you're gonna play any college sports if you ain't got good grades. So, and then if you're gonna go to play college sports, you might as well finish and get your degree too while you're at it. So, congratulations,
I appreciate
man.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
As far as the Midland gear goes, it's you go so long wearing the same thing. You have to work to practice. You have to work to games, travel. You get used to wearing the same 5 outfits every day.
Yeah, 5 outfits. Yeah. Hey, but just to let you guys know, look, because I did actually wear a shirt that I haven't worn in a long time, and it's a sports shirt. I wanted to kind of show it off a little bit here. Looks like that. But I was out in California a few years back, and we were out visiting Venice Beach and enjoying our vacation, stuff like that. And as we were going by the basketball courts that actually they filmed White Men Can't Jump there, I really wanted to go over there and at least kind of check it out. But it just so happened that there was a 3-on-3 tournament going on over there, and it was sponsored by, I don't know, some businesses out there. It was an employee appreciation one, but then it was free entry. Anyway, got out there, played, and I got to live my White Men Can't Jump dreams out there, and I got a T-shirt out of the deal too for proof. So let's go. Anyway, so I thought I'd bring that here and share that with you guys about this little T-shirt I got. So, okay, so let's get into it then. Okay, so the girls softball 12 and under. Okay, their coach Crystal Grant, and she'll let you know a little bit about who else is helping her out, and then a little bit about the other girls teams too. But we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave it open-ended right here. Coach Grant, can you please kind of give us a little story about how you got into coaching softball and your passions and your expectations, your goals, and all that kind of stuff about these young ladies?
Okay, so my name is Crystal Grant. I grew up, was raised here in Winnebago. As far as stepping into coaching, it was just because there was a need for coaches to step up.
Yeah.
Like, everybody wants to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we just need parents who want to volunteer. Like, we can't afford to pay you guys. So that's fine. Like, I did it because I knew if I didn't step up, I would leave my daughter without a coach, or,
Yeah.
Like, I wanted someone to step up for my kids. So I was like, all right, so if, okay, that's covered. I'll take this team then. So that's just how it was. I think I helped coach. I was like an assistant coach back in 2005, 6, all the way up to 2009 for my oldest daughter.
Yeah.
And back then they used to, Whirling Thunder used to let them play up in Sioux City at the Floyd.
Yeah.
So coached up there for a while, and actually for that, from 2005, I think, all the way to 9, we were undefeated except for 1 year.
Ooh.
We got second place 1 year.
Yeah.
And then so my younger daughters wanted to start playing softball just because in the summertime that was something to do, and that's what everybody did around here.
Yeah.
And Eugene was like, Crystal, we're gonna start fast pitch. Do you want to help coach? I'm like, yeah, I'll help coach. So stepped in, and I got to start off with the girls who are playing 14U now, and I think back then they were only 10U.
Yeah.
So then there was an 8U team, even younger, which I think we just threw a bunch of little kids that were running around and let them play against other teams. So then I started coaching them, and as they got up, kind of moved with them, and then like other parents stepped in. Like I think Marcel, a couple years coached them girls, and I just stayed with the younger kids. It was just easier because then I had 2 kids on one team, and then he had daughters on that team, so I was like, yeah, go ahead, you guys gonna play for them. I'm going down to the younger guys again. Yeah. And this year is the first year we actually have a 14U team.
Oh, really? First year? That's good.
This is the first year.
Yeah, actually, interviewing the boys coaches a few weeks back, that's the same thing. This is the first time Winnebago's had a 14U baseball team in a long time.
Yeah.
We've had it before, but it's been a while. Yeah. And that really just gives that older group, the group you're talking about, it gives that older group a couple extra years to play.
Yeah.
Because, especially like the boys baseball, they just started going just like you guys. And they play a couple years, and then 12U is what the highest grade level was at that time. And then the next year after that, what are these kids going to do? Go back to playing softball at the Floyd? No, they worked it out, and Eugene, those guys are good at getting our teams in leagues and scheduling these events and stuff like that, and hosting the events, all that kind of stuff. So I always try to give those guys props because they do a lot of work that we don't all see happening. It's all behind the scenes work, and it's really greatly appreciated amongst all the teams here. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead, continue on.
Oh, but yeah, so 14U was their first year, and all them girls were happy because they were thinking, man, we ain't gonna have softball. And my daughter was like, Mom, can you ask so-and-so, like, their parents have a team up in Floyd, I'll play with them. And I was like, yeah, but then Eugene was like, hey, we're going to get a 14U team. Like, he told me last year, we're going to work on it, we're going to get a 14U team. I was like, all right. He's like, just see her, said she'll coach them. And I'm like, shoot, all right.
Yeah.
So she stepped up and she coached them this year, and they're doing really good, and I give mad props to her because it's hard to deal with junior high kids.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So like a lot of the junior high kids she has to work with them girls, and it's kind of hard. They start to get their own opinions. They start getting attitudes.
We it's crazy. We talk about that with the other sports too, about these girls when they get to a certain age, and it is that junior high age. Yeah. Where it's kind of the attitudes you're talking about. They kind of get sassy and can't tell them what to do, and they know everything and stuff like that. I had daughters, growing up too and playing sports, and it was hard for me to try to coach those girls, man. I'm telling you, because they really do, and so I had to step away a few times. And say, man, I can't do this. I'm gonna stick to the boys, so because they'll allow me to holler and get mad at them and stuff like that. The girls, man, you say anything wrong, like a guy with a loud voice like me, say something wrong, man, those girls are sitting over there crying in a dugout or something like that. And I'm like, man, what did I say? But anyway, I know what you're talking about with that.
So then Kumi, she coaches the 10U girls. So then she has like my younger daughter on that team. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, they're squared away. They're good. So then I was like, I'll do the 12U.
So let's stop right there. Let's hit the pause button on that 10U. So Kumi mascot, she coaches the 10U, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so who's all her assistants, or who helps her out with that?
So it's her, Keithan, and then they have Jordan,
Blackfish.
Fish. Yeah. Okay. So those 3 all. Yeah. And Delia, she'll step in when she's needed.
Those viewers out there that are watching this episode on the Big Voice Facebook or the YouTube, the visuals are up there, and so just trying to follow along with that. That right there that's being shown is the 10U, right?
Yeah, that was actually, they got second place at the I don't know, it's like the halfway mark for the tournament,
like the mid-season tournament.
Yeah, so they got second place.
Well, good job. Yeah, that picture shows them. They all got the medals right there. You can see that they're happy, and then for a sport, just to start off, and we were talking about this with the athletic director last week, Adam James. When a sport just now starting off in a community and you already have success in there, that's good signs. That's really good signs that we're going in the right direction. And maybe the other sports that they're playing throughout the year are helping them with these sports that they're starting off with and stuff too. So yeah. But you also got to give a lot of props to these coaches because they're the ones, especially softball. Like you're out there in 90-degree weather practicing,
Yes.
And I mean, I know. I don't like being out in the heat, but I mean, sometimes you just got to, if you're, doing all these sports and stuff. So.
Yeah, and it's funny when you see like these girls, they have to wear the pants, the socks.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, well, my friend plays in Floyd and they don't have to wear that. Yeah, well, you're going to be sliding across the base in this league.
Yeah.
What do you mean? And so you have to show them girls, like, you have to slide. Like, this is sliding. And I was sitting there showing these girls videos, like, I ain't doing that. You're going to do that if you want to make it home.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, but these pants are hot. You're just going to have to deal with it. Like, that's softball.
Yeah. Good. Just off this subject real quick. Like, I was talking with my son earlier today, and he's like, Dad, I got a big scrape in my leg. I said, well, you got to learn how to slide. That's why. Because, there's a certain way you slide, and he was sliding, like, on his leg and his rear end and has his hand on the ground, and he looked like he's sitting up. I'm like, what are you doing? So anyway, I said, well, I sent him a couple of videos to teach him how to slide, so hopefully he can work on that a little bit. Hey, Bethany, if you can go to my the picture I was telling you on my Facebook, just so you guys know, I don't know how much you guys are paying attention to like the younger ones, but I do coach a 8U team, and it's my daughter and all her classmates, man. And I'm bringing this up because you were just talking about the pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Bethany's gonna be pulling up this picture here, but my team picture with my girls, and we just got some brand new uniforms this year. And hey, so being involved with softball, and as a woman, you guys, I know you guys all saw the movie The League of Their Own,
Mm-hmm.
or In the League of Their Own. So if you see the little picture we got up here. The girls got their little baseball shirts, right? And they all got the skirts. So, but these girls aren't sliding yet, so I wouldn't try to ask them to slide. But we had to get them at least 1 year with the skirts because they look just so cute. And then they're only 8 years old,
Yeah.
But they look like they're enjoying their time. And but that group of girls right there, it's going to be interesting because this same group, they play basketball and they play volleyball, and they're the little Owings all throughout the year. So. Can't wait till they get into junior high, and yeah, they're going to be a pretty crazy crew there. But I'm so happy that you guys are doing the age groups that you're doing because, once they, I think you're probably going to do the same thing as the team you're on. Try to stay with that team as much as you can until they get out of your hands. And then same thing that I do. I'm going to try to coach these girls until they get to like junior high or something like that, until the next coach is ready for them,
Yeah.
And I think that's good that our job is to get them ready for those next coaches,
Yeah.
When I was younger, I wanted to be their coach until they got out of high school, I only got to do that with one of my kids, coaching basketball from kindergarten all the way to his junior year. And I worked at the school during that time too, so I got a chance to do it with him. But yeah, the rest of my kids get to about junior high or even to high school, then I gotta cut the umbilical and let you go,
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to do, and I know that you're doing it because you always go to all your kids' games and stuff, so it is hard to cut that umbilical from time to time.
Yeah.
So,
or even be quiet and let the coaches do their job.
I know, right? I know,
Catch
right?
myself hollering around like,
I know. Not even hollering at your kids no more, just hollering at the coach. What are you doing, coach? Yeah. So okay. So that was my 8U team, and we actually have a game tomorrow at 5:30, and they don't keep score for our girls. They don't want to keep score to make the girls feel bad if they're losing or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't keep score in our game, but we have practice about twice a week. A lot of batting practice for these young girls, and they're really getting good. And the defensive part, we have like maybe 4 girls that can catch the ball really good for 8-year-olds. And yeah, if we were keeping score, we'd be undefeated. But we don't keep score, so we're just going for the fundamentals and for the experience and for the camaraderie and the friendships and stuff like that the girls have. And man, I just love doing it. So so you get to coach the older girls, and so you get, like you said, the attitudes and stuff like that. There's no attitudes in our group. The 8-year-old, they're still talking about Pikachu and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it's fun, and I hope it can stay fun as they grow up. So, but I got a lot of learning to do about coaching girls though, because I've been a middle school or a elementary school boys coach for the last 23 years. So it's gonna be a little change, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I actually prefer coaching little kids versus the older kids myself.
Yeah.
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 I mean, like I said, I started out when they were younger, coaching them, and then got up. That's why I had no problem jumping back down.
Yeah.
It's like I like the little kids. They also listen better because they want to be better.
Yeah.
You know? As they get older, it's like I already know that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I know,
okay.
I know. Yeah, that's kind of thing right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, did you play softball growing up as a little guy?
I did not.
No softball?
Mm-mm.
Not even intramurals at college or nothing? Baseball?
Nothing.
Kickball during PE? Anything?
Oh yeah, that.
Oh, okay.
So I'd say, in the grand scheme of things, you guys have been coaching for a while.
Yeah.
How much fulfillment do you guys get from seeing your athletes grow as people? I mean, you probably
Oh,
have
man.
athletes that are mid-20s, late
You,
20s.
Yeah.
you want to answer that one first?
Well, I mean, I like it because, I mean, it makes me proud. You know, it's kind of like they're your kids too. So then it's like really proud when you see them achieving and like just they're growing and they start even, you know, I seen even my oldest daughter, I helped coach her and then she stepped up and she like started a basketball team. So it was like, she's like, oh, I just want to do it because these girls need a coach.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so that rubbed off on her. So, I mean, it gives you a sense of fulfillment. Like I don't know, I just like, there you go, do it. Shoot.
Yeah, it really does. You know, my dad used to coach us when we were coming up, and he coached baseball and basketball. And then I remember when I started coaching, then he was like, "Hey, son, you're really gonna have fun. You know, you're gonna have a lot of fun." And then I remember winning my first tournament and going and telling my dad, "Pops, look at, man, we got our first trophy, man. We got a championship." And he's like, "Yep, now you're hooked. You're not gonna want to do anything else." And I haven't wanted to do anything else since then, you know. But that fulfillment, not only did I feel good about it, but my dad, my former coach and mentor, felt so good about what I was doing and felt good for these kids that's a fulfillment of his own. Now, I know I've been coaching longer than Crystal. One of the moments that I guess solidified my coaching and telling myself that I'm in the right place is when one of your students, even if you ain't the one that signed papers and stuff, but one of your former students, one of your former athletes gets to go to college to play that sport that you guys have been doing. And you know, sometimes it takes a while because you got to start them down here and get them better athletes and better students, so when they graduate out of high school that they're ready for that. So for me, like Jeff Barrage, Aaron LaPointe, Kenny Blackhawk, Christian LaPointe, my boy Greg, Matthew Wingett, David Wingett, just a lot of these athletes, and I know I'm missing a couple too, but they signed their letters of intent to play college basketball, and that was like the most I guess rewarding feeling, because that's the reason why I got into it in the first place. That's the reason why it's not just drills and like, you know, running games and scores. It's about everything else that you teach them in practice about the sport. That it's not only just basketball. It's all about, you know, sportsmanship and teamwork and work ethic, all that kind of stuff. Everything pays off when that kid signs their name. They're gonna go to college, maybe get their degree, you know, and then their favorite sport gets to help pay for that. So that was fulfilling, is seeing those kids sign those letters of intent. And matter of fact, there's a couple kids just recently from the Omaha tribe had signed letters of intent to play basketball, and I believe one Kenyan White Eyes is going to be traveling to Peru State to go play basketball down there and go to school. You know, hopefully Kenyan can you know, play ball for 4 years down there and get his degree and come back and help his people. And then Sylvia Valentino, she was a former Lady Indian. She graduated from Macy, our Omaha Nation, and I saw yesterday she signed a letter of intent to play down at Central, I believe, here in Nebraska to play basketball. So, you know, those kids right there are getting to live out part of their little dream that they had, you know, about being athletes in college. So congratulations to those two athletes there for doing that. Okay, so well, hey, let's knock out a little bit about the you see 12U. You talked about your girls. 14U, I think you talked about a little bit. But also, when we were chatting before, you was telling me that you have daughters on these teams too. You want to elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my youngest daughter, she plays on the 10U team with Kumi. So, I mean, Kumi is stacked with help. She has a lot of help, you know, and then them girls, they're all really good about listening. Like,
Yeah.
Keithan tells them something, they at least listen to him like, okay, and and you can see their willingness to be better.
Yeah.
And it shows on the field, because these girls, I believe they have a pretty good record. Like, and like I was saying, they do play in 2 different leagues.
Yes.
The 10U, the 12U, and the 14U. So we have a local league. The local league's kind of really minimal on towns. A lot of them are like switching out to other towns, I guess.
Yeah.
And joining their locals. So the 10U, I think they might only have like 1 loss in the local league. I'm not 100% on that. Sioux City is a little bit tougher because these kids are, I don't know, they're just kind of a little bit tougher. Like these girls, they got pitchers that can pitch.
Yeah.
Going from this league to that league this year, playing with the arena, these girls are like, man, that girl she pitches really fast. Like, yeah, and that's how you're supposed to pitch. But they're just like, we're intimidated. But now they're just like, come on, pitch to me. Like, I just want to get a hit. Yeah. And it's crazy because if you play in the local league, it seems like everybody is waiting to get walked. Like, I'd rather just take a walk than try to swing at that. Yeah. And then you go up there and then you see these girls that, like, they just want to swing at that ball. Yeah. Our girls, they're just, like, really willing to, like, step up and just, like, be swingers at it. Whereas a lot of teams will just sit there and they're not going to pitch me out.
No, you see that in fast pitch softball and in baseball where, you know, you get some of the athletes or some of the players going up and, you know, you could just tell that they're not going to swing. You know? They're like, okay, man, you better pitch me some ugly pitches or something. Get me on first base. But, yeah, you see that in baseball and softball. And you said that the Winnebago girls team, they got the local league. I remember we talked about that. And that's just playing local teams. We play in Winnebago and Homer and a couple other local towns that the league are in. But, but the arena league, how many games do you think? Do you know how many games that they schedule for you during the summertime?
So it goes 8 weeks, and a couple of them turned out to be double headers now because they kind of added a couple of teams onto each age group within the past couple of weeks. Yeah. So you would say 8 games, but for my 10U team, I know we've had 3 double headers, and then we go into tomorrow night with another double header. So I mean, in those games, like you play at Floyd, it's an hour straight and it's done. Yeah. These games are like 75 minutes, 80 minutes.
Oh yeah, because you got to play out. What do they go, 7 innings or 5?
I think the max is 5, but then they also watch the time limit as well. Yeah. So it's like we're either gonna do the 5 or we're just gonna hit that time limit and we're gonna call it. So then these girls are like, man, these games take forever. I'm like, yeah, they do, but and you play the local league, it's the same. Like they just do maybe 75 minutes straight and they just cut it off. So you get a good 3 innings in sometimes. Yeah,
I got to, I think it was last week or the week before, I got to go and watch one of the girls' teams over there and play. And I think we were playing Emerson, and they went like all the way down to the wire, down to the wire, and they Winnebago ended up winning 13-12. And at the end of the score on the last pitch of the game or whatnot, I remember hearing a lot of screaming going on, and so I looked down at the girls' field down there, and they were all jumping around because they just now won the game. And I guess that team was pretty good, and Winnebago girls held on, and I was watching over there, and we have pretty decent pitchers too. Even, I mean, like we just now got started on this softball, this fast pitch, but the girls that I watched from Winnebago were pretty decent pitchers, you know, and not only pitching the ball, but fielding the ball as well. Yeah. You know, because like a lot of times you can get a good pitcher, but if the ball is hit to you and you can't field it, then like, oh man, we might have to get somebody else back there to help or something. But anyway, I was real proud of those girls, and like I said before, it always makes me happy and satisfied when our kids are happy. Yeah. And when they're happy, whether they win or they lose a close one, but they know they tried their hardest, but you can see it in their face that they're satisfied and they played their hardest. I love that. I love seeing that here in Winnebago.
Yeah. So then the 10U team is what I coach, and then I can't really flat out say I have an assistant coach, but my daughter Gianna, who plays on the 14U team, she just really likes to play softball. So she's like, when I have practice, like, I'll go with you. I'll help you coach, Mom. Yeah. So she'll come down, and so she'll take some of the girls and they'll go do a hit around, and I'll take some of the girls and we'll do like throwing, or I'll sit there with the pitchers and the catchers and like trying to just help them critique their style a little bit, because like these girls are new. They're not perfect pitchers by far, you know, but just getting to work on it. You know, it's like just so then you could sit there and be like, hey, try to do a little release down here instead of bringing it up too far. Flick your wrist more. Or telling the catchers, like, you guys, it's not just about standing there catching the ball. Like, you can't let that pass you.
You got to move.
You know, and so then I get to coach my niece, Chloe, she's a big girl, you know, but that girl can move.
Yeah.
I say that. Like, everybody who watches her be catcher, like, man, that girl can move.
Yeah.
Like, you see her, like, the pitch is too high, man, it's going over her head. She'll just jump up.
There and grab it, yeah.
Yeah, and then she's, like, good about, you know, making herself being a brick wall so they can't get past her. It's like, you have the padding on, just get in front of it and stop it. So everyone's like, she's really good at that. I was like, yeah, but she hates playing it. She's like, it's too hot and that gear, you know. So then we like try to find girls like, you do this inning, she'll do that inning. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's a little bit better about it now, but she used to be like, oh, like she would get that attitude after a couple innings. This gear is hot. I don't like being in it. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, Chloe, if you're gonna listen to this broadcast here, just a little piece of advice: the catcher is always the one that seems like the toughest one. So make sure you know that. Yeah, because like the catcher's the one that always has to get ran into, and you know if they miss it, and they might get hitting their body somewhere with the baseball or something like that. So they're usually the toughest one. So hey, hang in there, Chloe.
And that's funny because, you know, if you know Chloe, she is the toughest one.
Okay.
You know?
James was actually telling me a story the other day about Chloe when she was younger, when she wrestled. And it was her first wrestling tournament. You know where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. She grabs the other wrestler and like tries to drag them out of the ring by their leg like it's a death match.
Yeah, she did. Like, she was like, I don't know, they just said body slam him or pull him out of the ring. And I don't know who told her that. Somebody told her that. And she was probably only like 8 years old or so.
Yeah.
So she goes into the match, grabs this boy, picks him up, body slams him. It's like, that's not that kind of wrestling, girl. And we're all sitting there like, don't. And she just grabs him by his leg, pulls him off to the middle of the circle, like just pulls him off the whole mat. And then she walks away and like everyone's just like, God damn that girl. And then it was like, they call him back to the center. She's like, but I won. We're like, no, you got to wrestle him.
Yeah, you got to wrestle him.
Yeah, it was a boy.
Was it?
Yeah, so then I think that made it a little bit worse for him. He's like, I don't want to fight her no more.
Yeah, no, hey, we need her out for wrestling when she gets older. We need her out for wrestling.
But yeah, like even last year we were playing a game in Wakefield, and I always tell her like, if they're standing in your way, just run into them. But she, like I said, she is a bigger girl, and she ran into that other girl, and that girl was like, boom, on her butt. Parents were getting mad, and it's just like, she shouldn't have been standing in the way, first of all. But you know, like Chloe, don't tackle her. Like she kind of went down with that shoulder, like.
Yeah. Oh man, we need those girls too. I think my Siki, she's gonna be one of those girls too, because she tried wrestling and she had to wrestle girls and boys that were 2 grades older than her because she's a tall, husky girl, you know. And then she's just a baby too. So you know, I was kind of like, well, babe, you gotta, you know, they're gonna be rough with you, you know. So, but she can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, we're gonna step off of the subject of softball here in a second, but one question I wanted to ask you, as a coach and as a person that always at practice and you know seeing what the girls like can do, what you think that their expectations are going to be and stuff. So one thing that we talked with the baseball coaches about is about a batting cage.
Yeah.
Okay, but besides a batting cage, what do you think some of the needs for these young ladies, and well, we'll say softball, but like in sports in general, but what are some needs that the girls need around here? Because it seems like the boys, like I can see a lot of different coaches stepping in and doing a lot of things with the boys, and that's with like finding sponsorships, this and that, whatever, you know. But there's always a need. Man, we need something else. We need more things.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you see in Winnebago during our youth sports that you think the girls could use?
So the girls, their biggest thing, and they'll tell you this because they're all very opinionated, was they'll be like, how come everybody watches baseball but nobody comes to watch us? You know, they're looking for more support.
Yeah.
A lot of them girls, you know, like with girls, that it is support and validation is really big for a girl.
Yeah.
Like they want that. They want people to like be proud of them. But then if they don't get that, then it does kind of play with their emotions, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, how come they always get that stuff? How come they always get this and that? And I was like, I don't know, but just go out there and play. You know, you try to just like bring them away from that spot, because that probably is like a sore subject for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, every one of these girls will also tell you they need a batting cage.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then
that was one of them. That's one of the main things that we talked about when we talked about the fields out there, is a batting cage and getting, putting the pitching machines to use and everything. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, think of the girls and how decent they are already right now with, you know, skills and experience stuff. Then imagine them getting a batting cage and then just like, you know, going to practice not just once or twice a week, but schedule practice like maybe 4 times a week, and then getting that batting cage in a couple of those practices. You know, we
Yeah.
could be so much better.
But
you
the
know?
softball blew up this year, and like even I found it hard to find time to coordinate with like my work life and my kid life, and then my softball life, like just getting time to get down there and practice.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice like if these girls like, you know, hey, so like a couple of my girls were like, oh, I'm gonna ask my friends, let's go down to the fields and go play a game or whatever. Yeah, go ahead. And then it's like, well, go downtown. They have that old one, like make your own bases and stuff. And I try to encourage them to do that, because it's not like a lot of us coaches, you know, we have other things outside of softball or any sport that you're coaching. So it's like, okay, and I don't know if anybody knows me, you know, I have a buttload of kids.
Yeah.
So then it's like, yeah, just take them down there, take your sister down there, go hit around. Well, then my yard became just where everybody was
field.
batting practice.
Yeah.
Hitting it. We'll just hit it into the garage. Then my garage looks like it hailed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like just, I don't know, like just encouraging them. A lot of it with girls, I can't say much for boys, because I see my nephew, he'll just go and start hitting a ball around.
Yeah.
Because my girl's like, oh, we need a whole field. Like, no, you don't. Just hit it. Let's go and hit the ball around.
So yeah, that's the reason why I asked that question, is because you know, we have so many listeners. I think last week, the episode just on Facebook alone, I think, or we cleared like over 900 views. And so like, I know there's a lot of people that watch the show, and a lot of the people that watch the show, they're interested in sports. A lot of them are sitting in positions where some of these needs and wants can be addressed, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to make sure and ask what you think as a coach, what the girls need, because we always find out what the boys need, because we cover a lot of the boys sports and everything like that. The girls are just as much in need as the boys are, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, any of the listeners out there, you know, if you guys got inside scoop on that batting cage, you know, I know you said it's going to be a project that hopefully will be done by next year or something like that. Maybe somebody get those blueprints or get some order or something, you know. Not trying to be pushy, but just, you know, letting the people know what kind of things that these kids need around here. But I want to say thank you, Crystal, for coming in here and speaking with the people about the youth girls softball that we got going on with Bagel. I'm really grateful that you showed up and got to share your stories and your passion about coaching, not just your daughter's basketball or softball teams, but all her friends' teams too. That's one thing I always said to my boys and my kids, like, hey, I'm coaching, just get all your buddies and let's go for the same ride, you know. And you know, over the years, it's proven to help out not just my own child, but the buddies that are around them, because you put so much time in, they're eventually going to get better, you know. So
Yeah.
but it is, and I really appreciate all your words and sharing your team with us today. All right, so you are listening to 100.9 FM KWTN. This is the Big Voice Radio. We are the official radio station of the Winnebago Tribe in Nebraska, and you are listening to the Big Voice Sports Talk Show. We are here weekly at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays, and we got about 20 minutes left in the show, and now we're going to get on to our next subject. But I wanted to make sure and mention that the Boys and Girls Club had a basketball tournament this past weekend, and it looked like it was the bomb. And I talked to a couple of the Boys and Girls Club employees down there, Mr. Diami Barrage. He was on a recent episode with us talking about his future in college and track and cross country. And the other person is Natasha Dill. She also was a guest here on the Big Voice Sports Talk Show, and she's a current basketball player at Peru State College, and both are alumni from Winnebago. So they ran a tournament, and it looked like it was a really good one. I mean, they were going for hours, and I saw that they had medaled some champions out there. And you guys that are viewing right now on Facebook and YouTube, you guys can see some visuals about the tournament right there. There was a picture of Diami right there. Looks like the Natasha and Diami sitting there with the champions for the high school division boys. And we will get names and everything like that within the next couple of episodes. And also, Diami and Natasha are going to be joining us in a couple of weeks as guests. Not for their athletic stuff that they're going to do here, like in college in the next couple months, but about their jobs that they have down at the Boys and Girls Club, being, I believe they're activity directors down there. So I heard that there's going to be a number of things coming up this summer. So make sure and stay tuned and keep your ear out for that interview going to happen with Diami and Natasha. So here we go then. Coach Nick Sanssouci is here with us today. He was kind of chiming in earlier with the interview we had with Coach Grant. So Nick, it is your time, my friend. We're here to talk about lacrosse. One thing I wanted to mention before I move into the interview is, me and my brother Buff was talking last week about lacrosse, and lacrosse that through research and through I guess stories passed down from generation to generation, we find out that lacrosse is actually a native sport. It's a native sport that went out into the mainstream, and right now everybody's playing lacrosse. But this is something that originated from the native tribes that we have around in the United States here. Well, it wasn't the United States back then, but it was called stickball. And a lot of people up north in the New York and area up there in the Northeast, a lot of them play stickball. They call it lacrosse.
So up in New York, amongst the Haudenosaunee Six Nations, they actually call it, they bump hips.
They bump hips? Hey, well, you know what? It sounds like you might have a little more insight on that. So if you want to just go ahead and give us your introduction, how you got into lacrosse, what you've accomplished so far in lacrosse, and then at the end, maybe even let us know what your plans are, if there is any plans for lacrosse after this.
So I started playing when I was in 8th grade. Relatively speaking, that's like kind of late to the game for most lacrosse players. A lot of them have sticks when they're from, like I was saying, some of the Haudenosaunee Nation kids, they're given a stick when they're born. That's their first toy.
Really?
Yep. So, relatively speaking, late to the game. We actually started because it was a culture class that was taught through Ho Chi Minh Renaissance.
Okay.
Close family friend of mine, Corey Holiday, he taught it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So 1 week we were supposed to be making hand drums. The next week we were gonna learn about like the origins of lacrosse, and the week after we were supposed to learn how to throw atlatls. But we played lacrosse 1 week and we never made it to atlatls. We just sort of kept playing. He saw that the interest was there. It was me, a lot, my brother, a lot of our older cousins, a lot of his friends. So it was like a lot of juniors, seniors, sophomores, and I was a little 8th grader.
Yeah.
So I played with them, and he saw that the interest level was there. So we actually got into a couple different leagues. We played a few exhibition games against Nebraska teams because in Nebraska the talent level is just so top heavy. You have your Creighton Preps, your Lincoln Rampages, your Millard Wests. Those are perennial teams that are competing for state championships every year.
So lacrosse is at the high school level?
Yep, it is in Nebraska.
Okay.
It is not. It's not a sanctioned sport yet, but the governing body over it is NELACS.
Yeah. Okay.
A good buddy of mine, Kurt Carlson, actually runs the league.
Okay.
So he saw the interest level was there. We played for my 8th freshman and sophomore years. We were able to field a relatively competitive team. We went to a few tournaments in South Dakota. Played a lot of those teams in like the Midwestern area, North Dakota teams, South Dakota teams, Sioux Falls.
Were those teams like these like travel teams, like not necessarily all-star teams, but you know, like the arena or something like that, where you get kids from different communities coming into play, or was they all from one community?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Okay, kind of like AAU or something.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we played in that conference, and by the time my junior year rolled around, most of those guys that were on my team had graduated. So I actually didn't get to play my junior year.
Wow.
And when my senior year rolled around, there's a few teams that we had played with in conference, and they were, hey, we noticed you didn't play last year. Are you looking to get on a team?
Yeah.
So I played my senior year on Alliance Lacrosse. I actually played down at a tournament in Lincoln called Clash of the Cook.
Okay.
And that's where I met my buddy Kurt Carlson, because he was a coach there at the time. And he kind of noticed me. He's like, you're kind of the only one on this team that, you know, kind of knows what they're doing. Because he's like, I've never seen like a D-pole bring the ball up as much as, I've never seen a defender bring the ball up as much as you do. Or just, he's like, you know, if you'd be interested, he's like, I have men's league going on this summer. You know, it'd be a really fun experience to play. He's like, you don't have any offers yet, do you? I was like, no. And so like my first 2 years in college, I didn't have any offers. So I was playing men's league with him, and through that connection, I was able to start playing senior A semi-pro ball.
Okay.
So I started playing down Omaha for the Ralston Regals.
Okay.
They were in the IBLA, which is the Interstate Box Lacrosse Association. So first 2 years of my college career, I was just playing men's league and senior A. And through that, I think like I developed like a lot of skills and networked a lot. And eventually the coach at Morningside University reached out to me, and he pretty much said like, hey, I'm building a team here. I have a lot of kids from Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado. He's like, I want to get local kids on our roster. Yeah. He's like, that way they know the support. That way we know the support's there. He's like, what would you think about coming up here? So went up there, visited, enjoyed my visit there, and signed about a week later.
Nice. Yeah, I sit there and I think, you know, the times where you said your coach Corey Holiday was getting you guys involved. I remember I remember during that time he was out looking for money. He was out looking for donations and stuff to get equipment and you know he was trying to set it off and try to get lacrosse here for good, you know. And then, you know, I saw a lot of you guys down there was playing, you know, pickup games and practicing. You guys on the football field. You guys were, you know, going to work and stuff. And then, you know, the year after that, then it was a couple people less. The year after that, it was a couple people less. And then I just see you down here by yourself. And just seeing that shows me as a coach, I guess as a parent too, is that not too many people have that kind of dedication. And so where you're sitting at today, graduating from Midland, right?
Yep, Midland.
And then all the lacrosse that you've been playing since then, all the skills that you just now said, that, you know, you start picking up all these different skills and stuff like that, you know. Like the passion shows right there by just showing that. So we could all see that that the love you have for the sport is great. And so when that happens with any sport, then something good is gonna happen out of that, you know. And so that's kind of, I'm trying to lead up to this little thing about lacrosse, maybe in Winnebago. You know, I'm gonna ask you, what do you think your thoughts are on maybe getting lacrosse being a bigger sport here in Winnebago? And if you think that, how do you think we can do it?
So I've talked with Adam James about it a couple times. Where we're kind of at with it right now is it's in the developmental process. He wants to get a team within the next few years.
Yeah. Just
so that way, because I have plans beyond graduation. I want to use the rest of my eligibility, and I want to go on and my coach at Midland actually wants me to go back as his graduate assistant and get my master's degree and help him coach.
Yeah.
He wants me to do that, and that'll take about 2 to 3 years. And I think James really wants to sort of start growing lacrosse in this area.
Yeah.
In that time span.
I think one thing we probably need to do is start off is how you started out by you know, being asked to play for those teams right there, since there was no team here in Winnebago, is to make a team like that here in Winnebago, and even if you have to reach out to neighboring communities like Macy or Walt Hill, or one of the neighboring towns, so we can draw more people in. And as long as we can get a full squad, I think we can go. But then there's age groups, and finding other coaches and whatnot. Finding a coach that knows the rules. That's one thing, and not too many people around here really know the rules. I would say you, Corey, and then the other young gentlemen that used to practice with you guys back in the day might be the only ones that really know the rules. Because when you were saying the defender bringing the ball up like that, I'm just thinking basketball. I'm like, huh? So lacrosse is one of the sports that I need to kind of pay attention to a little bit more. So just in case if I see you guys playing, I know what I'm doing. I know what to follow.
So, like, in lacrosse, you have different positions, and it's different from basketball in a sense, because, basketball, it's like you have 1 through 5, and they play both ways.
Yeah.
But in lacrosse, you have a goalie, you have a defender who strictly plays defense, you have midfielders who play both ways, and you have attackmen who only strictly play offense.
Okay.
But beyond that, the midfield position gets really specialized in men's lacrosse, not as much in women's lacrosse. In men's lacrosse, it gets really specialized because you have your offensive midfielders who you only sub into the game to play offense.
Yeah.
You have your defensive midfielders who you only sub into the game to play defense. You have your LSM who only comes in the game. That's the long stick midfielder. He has a 6-foot pole. So defenders have a 6-foot pole.
Yeah.
He's a midfielder who comes in to be a 4th defensive player.
Oh, I see.
And then you have like a face-off specialist, because in basketball, you have the tip-off.
Yeah.
In lacrosse, you have the face-off, but that's to begin every possession.
Yeah.
So you have a guy whose job is to just face off and get the ball at the beginning of after every score.
Does he got to be the rough guy?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, when you face off against somebody, man, some people get their hands beat up.
Yeah, a lot of coaches, they'll compare it to wrestling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To me, it's one of the only positions in lacrosse that's binary. It's like you come out and either you won or you lost.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always interesting to me. There, just sort of the different aspects of different positions to me is always interesting.
Yeah. So I heard you compare it to wrestling, and we've compared it to football before. How about injuries? Did you ever sustain any injuries in your games in lacrosse in the past, or since you started playing?
So high school, relatively healthy. Didn't really have many injuries. My first year at Morningside, I actually broke my leg. And,
really?
Dislocated my ankle.
In the same time, or just?
Yeah, same time.
Wow. How'd that happen? Yeah.
It was actually in practice. I was setting a screen. The defender ran straight into me, and I fell and tried to catch myself, and my leg just.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I know that. I know lacrosse can get pretty physical. Just a short story fast. Like I went down to sat in a ceremony down at the Prairie Band Potawatomis, and they danced all night. They sang and danced all night, and then once the sun was coming up, then they had a stickball game.
Yeah, that's actually my tribe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was interesting. I never saw it before. And I even kind of got out there and played a little bit, but those guys are going crazy.
Yeah, they play really rough. How they kind of play down there, one of the rules down there is, here we have, you have your Hanas, your Kunus, and your...
Yeah.
Down there, it goes red, blue, and they cycle. So my older brother is red, I'm a blue.
Okay.
And they separate those colors into teams. But where things get tricky is somebody might have one son, somebody might have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So blue teams are always smaller.
I see. When I was there in that game, I think the game only ended up being a score of like 2-1 or something like that after about 30-45 minutes of playing. Everybody was sweaty, and it was a morning that in the springtime, so the ground was wet, so everybody's wet and sweaty and bloody. There were a couple of guys that got some cuts in their eyes that they weren't trying to go to the hospital or something like that to get stitches until after the game was over.
Yeah, it's they play it as a form of harvest sacrifice.
Yeah, and they use the original, or use the the actual sticks. They don't use lacrosse, actual stuff from Shields. They have.
Yep. I have one at home.
I'd like to see it too. Send me a picture.
All right.
Send me a picture of that one, because I was actually gifted one that later on that morning after the game. One of my friends had stopped in and said, "Hey, I got an extra one. You can keep that one, and just in case you're gonna come back." And I never went back, but I still have it at the house somewhere. It's in storage somewhere, but it's pretty cool. It's authentic, so I was happy about that. Well, hey, that was interesting to know that that's where your tribe's from. That's good, because I've been down there before, and not only was I at their powwows, but I got to go see their ceremony too, which was really interesting. So I got to see that. Well, good job on that one. So let's go back into talking about Adam James talking about getting lacrosse here. Would Winnebago be a big enough school to play against those? If we ever got lacrosse here, play against those teams from Lincoln and Omaha?
So I'd really like the idea of getting teams from Macy and Walt Hill and just sort of combining them.
Yeah.
I really like that idea because you only need 10 players on the field, but as far as a good roster size is about 22.
22? I remember hearing a story. I don't know if you heard this story before, but one of my good friends, Scott Ulrich and Tom Snowball, one time, I started working at Whirling Thunder, and we had a big old conversation. And we were talking about lacrosse back then too, but we didn't really get into it. They had some like some PE stuff, not the actual
Yeah.
equipment, PE stuff, and so we were talking about doing lacrosse, and it sounded like a real good idea. And we did a little bit of research on it, and the Winnebagos used to play lacrosse here, stickball or whatever. And it was crazy because they used to say that a game of stickball could last up to 3 days or something like that. And the teams back in there, they were about, I don't know if this is over exaggerated, but this is what the story Scotty Cool told me, but it was like 300 versus 300 people, and it wasn't a actual like football field they were on. They were actually out in the field, and the field was probably like a mile this way, a mile that way, and stuff like that.
So my grandma actually is telling me about that because
Really?
the field's actually out by the river. 'Cause
Really?
She told me her dad used to go play, and when she was a little girl, she used to sneak down the river to go watch him play.
Really? Man, that's interesting. I wish I could see, I wish I could hear the story itself, like what your grandma said, just to kind of visual that, try to put that in picture, because that would be amazing to see something like that. And that many people, that many hoe chunks, all together, playing like that, that'd be incredible. Because you say, if that was true, like around 300 per team, that's almost our entire community here, and split them in half and just battle, playing stickball.
Well, it's like lacrosse isn't it's not as big a part of the culture as it should be, because there's an old Ho-Chunk proverb, and it's like, as Ho-Chunk people, we're given certain rights. We have the right to dance, the right to sing, the right to pray, the right to hunt, and the right to play lacrosse, because it should be a part of our culture, because it's how we used it was as a form of war simulation.
Yeah.
And Winnebago and Ho-Chunk, we're the last warrior tribe in North America. Chief Little Priest is the last war chief in North America. We can't deny that it's a part of our culture.
Nick, maybe this is why. Maybe this is why all this stuff has been put together. Maybe this is the reason why your interest is in school and in lacrosse. Maybe you're sent here to bring that back to our community. And somebody, like, I remember we talked about Corey, and I know Corey tried to do it too, but maybe this is your real calling, that maybe somebody's telling you, hey, go out and learn all this stuff, get your education, go back and help your people, but this is what I want you to do to help your people, maybe get lacrosse back into the culture. Because I know being an educated native, being an educated Ho-Chunk, and coming home and putting your stamp on what you believe you're here for, a lot of people will support that. I mean, especially a lot of sports people will support that. And myself, I would like to see lacrosse come to a bigger scale here in Winnebago. I really would, so That's what I think. I think that maybe that's what you're here for, is to come back and bring it back. Bring it all back. So one more question then about this interview here is so I was on my first topic list. I put you as one of the football coaches because I know you're doing the strength and conditioning coaching down in the weights for this summer, but you told me you wasn't going to coach football this year. So I kind of want you to elaborate on that and maybe tell the viewers and myself what your plans are for the near future here.
So for most of you that probably don't know, I actually coached football in 2021 when Winnebago Indians won the All Nations Conference championship.
Yeah.
After that fall, that was my gap semester. I took that semester off from school. I went back to school at Midland. After that, I was back for the summer, and in that early summer, I had a lot of the football boys asking me like, "Hey, are you gonna come back and coach this year? Are you gonna come help out again?" And I'm like, I gotta go back to school. Like, I got one more year left, and I actually reached out to Trayvon about helping out with strength and conditioning last summer. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can try and be there for them in that capacity. And actually, the boys were in the morning, the girls in the afternoon. And he sort of told me, boys' session's over, and he's like, oh, you gonna come back for the girls' session? I was like, sure. So it's sort of how I got in there and started helping out both teams. As far as coming back for football this year, I am not, because I am currently planning on going to a NCAA institution as a graduate transfer.
Oh, nice. You got one picked out?
I do not. I'm looking at a D3 and a D2 school.
Okay.
Sort of just waiting to hear back from their compliance directors on how me transferring would work, because we still have the COVID year. Midland was an option. My coach wanted me to go back and use my senior exception, but sort of how I told him is I was like, I've been through so much in the past few years between Morningside, UNL, Midland, and all the coaching changes, all the different aspects of being a college athlete. Yeah, I was like, I just want 1 year stability. I was like, I don't want my lacrosse career to end just by me coming back for a spring semester, taking a class and playing. I was like, I really want to go out on a high note, so that's why I'm choosing to play one more year.
Play one more year, but get into a different institution to go for your master's? Or
no, I'm going to get a double major, depending on where I go, either comm or sports management.
Okay, cool. Yeah, a lot of athletes from Winnebago go into sports when they go out to college, and you see, they're playing this, but what are they majoring in? It's something to do with sports, which is good. I mean, we need all that back here, Or if you find somewhere where, you're well paid, well respected, go take care of that business, and go and start this beautiful life off, Then, but like I always tell the other athletes, no matter what you do, come back and share all that knowledge with our kids, because you know what it was like to be a kid wanting to learn, and so pay that back. That's I always say that too.
Yeah, that's why I kind of help with strength conditioning in the summers, because this wasn't like something offered to kids when I was growing up. It was, maybe a coach open up the weight room for you, but this having somebody help work with you in this capacity just wasn't there. That's why I try to be there and help the kids out.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good. That's all part of giving back, man. I really like that, man. I'm proud of you. Well, hey, this brings us to the end of our time here, though, Coach. And once again, I want to say thank you for coming in and sharing some time with us, sharing your experience and then your knowledge about the game of lacrosse. Hopefully, some of the listeners can either share this with their children, or if the kids are the ones listening, if you're interested in lacrosse and you really want to learn more about it, Coach Nick is going to be around. He's doing, like he said, he's doing the workouts at the school. He's helping out, and he's on Facebook. I mean, I got him on my Facebook Messenger right now too. So if you don't know how to get a hold of him, get a hold of me, then I'll get a hold of him for you. But yeah, I want to say thank you for coming in. As always, we just try to get a good interview. Fill the viewers and the listeners' ears with stuff that maybe they don't know that they want to know. And I think today we did a good job. So number 7 on our topic list is Athlete of the Week. Okay, and so I'm not sure if you thought of anybody, Nick, about Athlete of the Week, but we always give these away at the end of the episode. And Mine's gonna be an easy one this week, guys. You can think of one while I'm explaining mine. All right. So my athlete of the week is gonna go to this gentleman here for going out, getting his education, going out and checking out a new sport that hasn't been done here in Winnebago. And so my athlete of the week goes to this gentleman sitting right next to me here. He went out, got his degree, and he's not done yet. And he just wants more for himself to fulfill those voids that he has, and also I know that he's gonna be coming back and sharing this knowledge here with our youth here in Winnebago. So this one's for you, Nick.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So he's my athlete of the week, Nick Sanssouci. All right, Nicholas, do you have anybody in mind?
So the kid I have in mind is Leo Holstein. He's a eighth grader. He's a eighth grader going into football. Hasn't, he's been very consistent with weights. Works his tail off. There every day. Doesn't not a whole lot of back talk. Doesn't ask questions. Just does the work. Shows up every day. Goes home with the skip and a step.
Yeah. No, nice selection. I got to see Leo this past year. He played on my son's basketball team at the school, and my buddies. He might not be the best basketball player, but he's got a lot of friends on that basketball team that encourage him, and he did really well for being a first-year player. And so, yeah, good choice on athlete of the week. So Leo Holstein. If you are listening to this, or if anybody knows how to get a hold of Leo Senior, you guys just hit him up. Let him know that his boy Leo has athlete of the week medal sitting up here at the radio station, just waiting for him. So Leo, come on up. And then, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in for this week's episode of the Big Voice Sports Talk Show. This is Coach Q, along here with Coach Nick Sanssouci. And we did have Coach Crystal Grant on here talking about girls softball earlier. So next week, make sure and tune in, and we'll have a lot of interesting topics to talk about again next week. So thank you for joining in. God bless, and good night.